Hello everyone, welcome back to YK Reviews. For today's video, it's going to be the end of the month September tier ranking for all the movies, shows, video games that I've done in the month of September. So let's get into it here. And as you can see with the screen itself, this is what we'll be using, the tier maker website itself, and this is what we see, and all the video, shows, games, everything that I've basically reviewed in the month of September. Check out all the videos of these reviews: Detroit, Rogue One, Bandit, Breaking, GTA, Val, Elvis, Me Time, Barbarian, Philadelphia, and The Woman's King. All videos are on the channel here, so check them out if you get the chance. So let's get into it. Let's start off with the very first one. So here it's going to be about Rogue One. So in my review itself, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I'm currently in the middle of watching the Andor series, since the 4th episode has come out at the time of this recording. My criticism with Rogue One was that, I wanted to know more about the character. I wanted to know more about Andor, Cassian Andor, essentially, and I wanted to know more about his backstory and what was going on. I wish they delved into his character a bit more, but that was my only gripe with the movie. The plot was very simple to follow. It was very enjoyable. I loved the third act, the final battle, with the battle on the beach, the battle in the space. Everything was just going nicely across the whole movie itself. It was very entertaining. The characters themselves, you delved into the characters more, you were invested in them. I enjoyed the camaraderie between the characters. I enjoyed the two main leads. You've got Cassian Andor and Jyn also. Both of those leads were very well done, they're well written, and across the whole movie you really are invested in what happens to them as the movie progresses. So for Rogue One, I thoroughly enjoy it. This one I think is one of the better Disney Star Wars movies that they've done, and it's a movie that I definitely recommend, especially if you're watching the Andor series. Is essentially a prequel to this movie. I really enjoyed this, and of course the two Darth Vader scenes, the final scene at the end of the movie with Darth Vader, that alone is just a reason to watch this movie itself. So for this, I give it I would say a 9 out of 10 for me. With Rogue One, I'd give it an A-, 9 out of 10. It's a movie I enjoyed a lot, and enjoyed it even more knowing Andor is coming up, and a couple of episodes I've seen from it. I think it's a fantastic movie here. And now we get on to the next one, which is the video game. It's called Detroit Become Human. It's essentially following 3 androids going about Detroit, sparking a revolution, trying to go against the humanity perspective of what they view as androids. And for this game itself, I played it on the PS4, and it's a game I thoroughly enjoyed. The storyline, as I mentioned in the review, was pretty quick, very short, but you pick certain aspects in certain scenarios, and from there that leads you into the next progress into the into the game itself. So every single choice you make determines what happens in the game itself, and if you pick something, you can play it multiple times, and each choice that you make goes for a different outcome. So you have different scenarios and different outcomes each time you play it, which I really enjoyed about it. And the three characters that you have, which you've got Connor, Marcus, and Kira. Connor and Marcus's storylines I thoroughly enjoyed. I had such a good time with them, and Connor's storyline, as I mentioned in the review, is my favorite because he's a police officer. He's an android police officer, and you get to follow him and a character called Hank going about and solving crimes, murder mysteries, that kind of stuff. It was very fun to do, and the choices you get given for Connor's storyline, and especially Marcus's storyline, was very fun to do. Kira's storyline, I felt at the start was very slow, and just kind of the missions were a bit slow for me, but in terms of overall plot and overall storyline, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a game I do recommend. However, if you are going to get this game, a few expectations is that the very first part of the game itself, there's going to be mundane tasks that you have to do using your actual controller, the trackpad, the triggers and all of that stuff. It's going to be a bit of a slow pacing type, because for example, Marcus, you're going to be using your controller to play on the piano, do paintings, that kind of stuff. Kira washing dishes. So expect a bit of a slow start, but then eventually you will have a good time as the storyline progresses. I think it's a fun game to play, and for this game I would give it probably feeling generous, feeling lenient. I'd give this game probably an 8 out of 10, I would say. And in the tier rankings, I would give it for between a B and a C, but I feel like I'd give it a C plus, just due to like Kira's storyline and the beginning aspect of it. I had to give this one a C plus. And for the next one, Bandit. So if you haven't seen this movie, you don't know what the plot is. It's essentially about a man who escaped a prison in the US, who flees all the way up to Canada, and then starts robbing banks all across Canada, but making history by robbing 59 banks across Canada, even going into so far as robbing the same bank twice or even more than twice. And for this movie, it's a very, very fun movie. It's one of my favorites of September. I had such a good time. I love heist movies. I love like robbery type movies. And this one really delivered well. The 3 casts you've got Josh, I still cannot pronounce his last name. You've got Mel Gibson and you've got Alicia. And I think that they really were an amazing cast, and they did such a fantastic job in this movie. The plot was just so fun to watch. The runtime was really well done. The pacing of the movie didn't feel slow, didn't feel dragged out. It was really nicely done, and I enjoyed every aspect of the movie itself. I really think that this movie should be recognized more because it is a fun type movie. And like I said, and I mentioned in my review, that I'm currently living in Canada. My wife is Canadian, and the time that I've been in Canada, I've not heard about this at all. The fact that this guy robbed the banks in Canada, like went across from east to west or west to east, however you want to think of it, and was just robbing the banks consecutively, made a record-breaking 59 bank robberies, and it's not even heard of right now. It's just, I find that criminal. I'm not giving praise to him, because obviously like he's a bank robber and everything, but it was such a fun movie to watch, and seeing his progression in the movie, like how he started his first bank robbery to like his 55th, 56th, like he improved as well. But his character, like the actor that played him, Josh, did an amazing job. His personality was just, you could feel it throughout the movie, and I think he really elevated this movie. So for Bandit, I'd give this probably a 9 out of 10. This is a highly recommended movie, and I give this an A plus for me here. It doesn't go all the way up to the A triple plus, like the really top movie, but I think it's a really fun movie to watch, and I really recommend this movie. You have to go see it if you like heist type movies. And for the next one, it's Breaking, starring John Boyega, and this movie, it's based on a true story. It's based on a veteran who was honorably discharged, and as soon as he like arrives back in Canada, he's looking to get his disability check, but the VA have basically stolen his disability check, and he goes and takes a bank hostage to try and have them rectify this. And so he's using the bank and the media outlets and everything to try and get his money back, essentially. And John Boyega's performance in this was so fantastic. You really feel for the character. You really feel like his emotions, his portrayal, like you're invested in this movie. I think it does a fantastic job with the plot itself and what they did, and how the hostages played a part with John Boyega's character. Everything that was coming out of it, like John Boyega's character, how it affected the people that he interacted with when it comes to like the VA, his family, the hostages, the police outside of the bank, the CNN and media outlet. You really feel how it all ties together, how it affected every single person throughout the movie. I loved what the director did in this movie, and I feel like his portrayal, and because it was based on a true story, it really nailed on everything about it. I've never heard of this case, and then once I saw the movie and like the little like credits and messages at the end of the movie, you feel so much for this character, and he's not a bad person. He just wants his money back. He didn't do anything wrong, and I loved what they did in this movie. It was very emotional and very dramatic and intense, and everybody did a fantastic job. But John Boyega's performance in this movie is worth watching. It's a thoroughly entertaining, thoroughly enjoyable, thoroughly intense movie, and one I recommend. And this, again, I have to give this like a 9 out of 10 for me. It's a thoroughly entertaining and enjoyable movie, and for me it goes as an A plus as well. It's one of those movies that, like, at the end of it kind of like affects you, not in like a negative way or anything like that, but you kind of like just feel how something so minuscule made such a big impact like this, and it's something that you like think about afterwards too. I love this movie, and it's one I also recommend too here. And for the next one, it's also the video game, the second video game of the channel of the month of September. It's GTA 5, and I know I posted my review and talking about this when the GTA leaks and all of that drama is going on for GTA 6, but with GTA 5 I was talking a lot about the longevity of this video game coming out in 2013, so it's been nearly a decade since it come out, and this game is just so fun to play. Like, you don't have to do the main, like, you can do the main storyline, but once you finish the main storyline there's just so much to do. Like, the longevity of it was mainly based on like the online games, and you do so much online. There's so many missions, heists, all that things, so much you can do online. But the storyline itself, and because of the map being so big, and in the review I showed a picture, like I got a map that came with the video game. I won't take it out now because it took forever to open up and close back up, but the map, because it's so big, you get to do so much, drive around so much, do a lot of things, which for me, I personally enjoy doing that. Like, when I play a video game, I like to like just take my time, do mini missions, side missions, drive around just doing nonsense. So I really enjoyed GTA 5. It was so fun to play, and the main plot itself, when you follow the three main leads, Trevor, Franklin and Michael, as I mentioned in the review, Trevor and Franklin was so fun to play. Their storylines were really entertaining. Trevor was so fun, like his character is just such a whack job, and Franklin's storyline, you get to do so much. Michael's is a bit of like family problems and stuff, so some of the missions were a bit unnecessary for me, but in terms of overall grand scheme of things, the heists, the missions, everything that you get to do when they're all together, the choices you have to make, and like the actual physical plot itself is entertaining as hell. And I loved this game, and I've played it maybe 3 times now, and it's so fun to play. I could go ahead and after this video play it again and I'll still have such a good time because it is really fun. So I think for GTA 5 it's a game I definitely recommend. I give this game a B plus, just because the thing that's holding me back was like Michael's mission. Some of the missions were very frustrating for him, and I suck at online, so it's very frustrating playing online mode with GTA 5, but overall I thoroughly enjoyed it. I give this an 8.5 out of 10 and a B plus for me. This is so fun, such a fun game. And then next up on the list you've got Val. It's basically a movie / documentary about Val Kilmer. He basically, from the start of his career all the way to the end of his career, he was recording all the behind the scenes, backstage, behind the scenes with his family life. So he was able to record a lot of footage, and he decided to put it as a documentary. Now obviously, sadly and unfortunately, Val Kilmer got diagnosed with throat cancer, so it derailed a project that he was doing at the time of that. And so when you like see Val Kilmer in this documentary in present day, he has to actually push a button in order to speak, and it's just so heartbreaking to watch. You have got his son Jack doing the voiceover, and it was such a nice touch with that because his son sounds a lot like him, but you get to see just like his mindset, his creativity. Like, as I mentioned in the review, I've seen Val Kilmer in Batman, I've seen him in Top Gun, and watching Top Gun Maverick is the reason why I wanted to see Val, because you see him in Top Gun Maverick, you see how it's affected him, like the whole illness and everything. So then when you watch this documentary, it's very sad to see him. There was one particular scene where he was at a fan convention and you can see him just feeling disheveled, seeing everybody like giving him high praise, showing the love to him, but you can just see, if you like look at him in like Top Gun the original and then you look at him now, it's just heartbreaking to see. And just hearing him like talk when he's pushing the button and he's like actually speaking, it's just really sad to see. But you get to enjoy his like filmography life, you get to see everything that he got to experience growing up in the movie industry. It's very emotional and very heartwarming to watch. If you are a fan of Val Kilmer, I think you should definitely watch his documentary just to experience like his mindset, his creativity. You get to see how his mind operates and how much passion he gives to each of his projects. So with Val, I definitely recommend this documentary slash movie. It's a really, really fun viewing, I would say. And for Val, for me, I have to give this I'd give this a 10 out of 10. This for me is an A+. It's a thoroughly entertaining watch, a really enjoyable, eye-opening documentary. It's definitely an A+, 9 out of 10, 9 even 9.5 out of 10 for me. It's really, really fun to see. And another documentary slash biography type movie was the movie Elvis, and for me, this is my hands down favorite movie I've seen in the month of September. And that's going to be a bit of a spoiler for like the upcoming video of the best movie, show and video game of the month of September. But Elvis was just such a fun, lovable type movie. Heartbreaking to see him and like what he had to go through, but I never thought I'd love this movie as much as I did. It's so entertaining just seeing Elvis in person. Obviously it's not the real Elvis, it's played by the actor Austin Butler, and shout out to him for his performance. He did an amazing job bringing Elvis to life, and I think his performance along with Tom Hanks's performance really did a fantastic job elevating this movie. And it's a movie that if you've never heard of Elvis, then you have to watch this movie just to like see what he brought to the music industry. But obviously if you have heard of Elvis, you've heard his songs, you get that nostalgia, you get to like hear the music once again. It's just a really fun watch, a fun viewing. Also get to see how the career just declined and how like all the drama behind all of that with Tom Hanks's character, the Colonel, with Elvis's father, like everything that happened there, you get to all witness that. So for me that was very interesting and very sad to see, but also very fun to just relive Elvis's career, relive the musical concerts in Vegas, relive his like performances in certain like comeback tours. So I loved Elvis. I give this movie a 10 out of 10. The runtime is like just over 2 hours and it honestly goes by so quick. You get such a good time with Elvis. So if you had to give me the option between movies I've seen in 2022 and which ones I would rewatch, Top Gun Maverick would be one of them and Elvis would be another one from the top of my mind. And for the Elvis, I'm giving this an A triple plus. It's such a fun movie. It's, like I said, my favorite movie of September. I love this movie. I would rewatch it again 100%. So this definitely is an A triple plus for me. So next up on the list for me is going to be Me Time, Netflix's movie with Kevin Hart and Mark Wahlberg, and I enjoyed the movie. It was fun, it was entertaining. It's about Kevin Hart, who's a stay-at-home dad, who his wife and kids finally go to spring break, visit the grandparents, and so Kevin Hart finally gets his me time, and the plot and the premise is fun. Kevin Hart and Mark Wahlberg are entertaining in the movie itself, but it's not groundbreaking or anything like that. I had a good time with it. It got some laughs out of me, but the CGI, it was bad. The CGI was so bad, and in my review, one of my comments, I mentioned how I had to use 3 devices, this laptop, my TV and my phone, just to make sure my eyes weren't deceiving me, because that's how bad the CGI was. But CGI aside, the storyline, it was fun, it was entertaining, but it's one of those like comedy type movies. I had a good time with it. I enjoyed it, but would I recommend it? If you have nothing to do, if you like are looking for just like a simple comedy movie, you want to put it on with like your friends and stuff like that, yeah, I would recommend it. But is it a movie I say go out tonight, go tomorrow and watch this movie? No, because like I said, you'll have some laughs throughout the movie, but it's not groundbreaking or anything like that. So for me, me time, I have to give this I give it a C plus. It was fun, but the CGI was bad. Some of like the characters in the movie itself was kind of like hit and miss. Kevin Hart and Mark Wahlberg were hilarious, but it's not enough for me to like promote this movie, recommend this movie, or even put out there as like a B. So me time, it's gonna be a 6.5 to 7 out of 10 for me for that one. And then next up on the list is The Barbarian. It's the movie I went to watch in the cinema, and it was the first movie I reviewed of the month, and I loved this movie. It was so fun. I didn't see trailers or anything like that. I wanted to go in just clean slate, no idea what I'm expecting, and it gives you a thoroughly entertaining thrill. It gives you a really fun ride to go on, and you have no idea what to expect. It was intense, edge of your seat kind of stuff, and it's a horror movie that I think it would be up there as a really great horror movie. It was so fun for me to watch. The actors and the characters that were in this movie really did a fantastic job. My only nitpick that I had was Bill Skarsgård was so creepy and fun in the movie, but I just wanted to see more of him. I like his character. I like him as an actor. He does really, really great roles. He's Pennywise in it, and I wanted to see more of him, but we didn't get enough of him. But the reveal was creepy, and I loved the reveal. I enjoyed what happened after the reveal and everything. The quick cutaways from like what happened between the whole Airbnb and Bill Skarsgård and the female lead character to then just not skipping, but like stopping and just going completely on a different direction. I really enjoyed it. I think the director did a really, really good job with the movie and like the plot and the pacing of it. It's a horror movie I think you'll thoroughly enjoy. It's one I recommend. This for me, I give it probably a 8.5 out of 10, and on the tier ranking I'm giving this an A. Like, I really, really enjoyed this movie. I was not expecting it, and it definitely entertained me. It definitely creeped me out and had me on the edge of my seat. So I loved this movie, and if you're looking for a horror movie, this is one I would recommend. And the second last one on the list here we've got is Philadelphia, starring Tom Hanks and Denzel Washington. It's essentially about a lawyer who gets fired from his law firm for having AIDS, essentially, but they don't necessarily fire him for that in their eyes. They try and make him look incompetent, and then because of that they fire him. But Tom Hanks's character, who is that lawyer, knows that it's because he has AIDS, so he goes to Denzel Washington's character, who is also a lawyer, to basically sue the firm. And what I really enjoyed about this movie is how underrated it is, how the plot itself is pretty simple and basic, but you really love what they do in the movie itself. The court scenes and most like movies when they have like courtroom scenes or like lawyer type stuff, it's more of like behind the scenes in the office type, and then they have courtroom scenes. But with this, they had a lot of courtroom scenes which I thoroughly enjoyed. I loved what they did with the witnesses that they had, the lawyers, the interaction between the judge and like the jury. The movie just came across so well written and so well directed. Tom Hanks, as usual, killed it in this role, but Denzel Washington, as the lawyer defending Tom Hanks, brought on another level in this movie. He was amazing in this movie. He carried this movie with Tom Hanks, and they did an amazing job. Like I said, the courtroom scenes was fantastic and intriguing, and you're just watching, waiting to see what happens next. You just don't want the scenes to end. I really, really had a fun time with this movie, and I don't think a lot of people are aware about this movie, so I really, really recommend this movie if you like lawyer type movies, courtroom type movies, that kind of stuff. I think you'll have a really good time with Philadelphia. Tom Hanks and Denzel Washington killed it in this role, and for me with Philadelphia, I give this movie an 8 out of 10, and I give this a as well. Like, this really was a fantastic watch for me. I really enjoyed it, so give this movie an A. I definitely recommend that. And for the final review of September here that we're going to be ranking, it's Woman's King, a movie that I was a bit hesitant to watch. I saw a little bit of the trailers, but didn't think this would be my type of movie. But coming out of it, I had a really fun time with this movie. I know there's a lot of like controversy going on with this movie in itself, and I completely understand that. But for me, in terms of what the movie is, like everything else aside, I think this movie was a fun watch. The characters, the actors and actresses themselves, John Boyega, Viola Davis, everybody in this movie itself did a really good job telling the story in itself, and the action scenes, the fight scenes really was gripping and mesmerizing and entertaining in itself. And one particular scene I really enjoyed was as they're training like these new people in the tribe, and they had this little like final test for them. It was really fun and gripping scenes. It was entertaining and enjoyable to watch. Overall, in terms of the movie itself, I feel like it did run a little bit too long. I had a little bit nitpicks here and there with the movie itself, but overall, for me, I enjoyed this movie. I had a fun time with this movie. Is it a movie I would recommend? I know a lot of people are like having their say on this movie, and I don't want to go too much into it or anything like that, but I would recommend this movie if you enjoy like what's the word, warrior type movies, war type movies, those kind of stuff. I think you'll enjoy it because it really is like a nice twist on those types of movies. It was fun to watch. Overall, I think for me, I have to give this movie an 8 out of 10. Like I said, there was a little bit of nitpicks. Scenes were like dragging on a bit too long in the second to third act. But overall, it did have me on the edge of my seat. I did care for like the characters. Once again, John Boyega's performance, absolutely killing it. So for me, I have to give this movie a B. A B, I would say, not a B plus or a B minus, just overall as a B. It's a fun movie to watch. I enjoyed it. I know I probably have enjoyed it more than most, but it's definitely a fun watch, a fun first time watch, I would say. So this is the overall tier ranking list for the month of September. Let me know down in the comment section what you think of the list itself. If you would put it in a different way, let me know. If you have any other movies that you would want to rank as a B or C or even like an F, let me know down in the comment section below. And if you haven't already though, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any videos there. As I mentioned in the beginning, all these reviews are on the channel, so if you get the chance, check out each individual review there. And the best movie, show and video game of the month of September will be coming out within the next 24 hours, I would say here, so keep an eye on that. But thank you so much for watching, thank you so much for listening here. Keep an eye out on the channel for the month of October. It's going to be all horror type movies, Halloween type movies, so a ton of reviews coming up in the month of October, so keep an eye out on the channel there. Really appreciate all the support here. This is YK Review, so thanks again for watching and listening. Peace.